Welcome to the Inspire to Invest podcast, where we're sharing stories from real estate investors and how investing has changed their lives. This episode of the Inspire to Invest podcast has been brought to you by ProVenture Real Estate Corp. Hey everybody, welcome to Inspire to Invest. I have Cody Payne with me today from Dallas, Texas. He is the Senior VP of Collier International, and he specializes in industrial investment properties. He's got 19 years experience and 850 successful transactions under his belt, specializing in leasing, management, market analysis, and strategic planning. He leverages Collier's platform to maximize value and ensure optimal results for his clients and investors. And him and his team are currently spearheading initiatives that attract investors from around the entire world, facilitating exploration and investment in the dynamic small bay flex industrial sector. So I got through that without slipping up too much, but thank you for being here today. How are you?
Good. No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
So obviously you've kind of been in this field for the last couple of decades, but what did life look like before real estate really came into the picture?
I was a car salesman before then, so nothing too exciting, just kind of working my way into the business. Because as you know, and a lot of people know, going into the commercial real estate side, it's good to have some money saved up because, it's 100% commission. And so you got to make sure that you can kind of start it and operate it correctly and give yourself that buffer. And luckily I got connected with a good local guy and worked for him for about 10 years. And so started my career there and then joined a national firm. And now we're actually at an international firm. So,
Awesome.
But yeah, no, love it. It's been a great ride. We've got a great team, been together a long time here, and we just kind of specialize in the small bay flex stuff all across the U.S.
Awesome. So in terms of your own portfolio, like that's obviously on your career side, but can you talk a little bit about kind of starting your own portfolio and any investing that you're focused on as well?
Yeah. So, and I know I was telling you this before we got started on here, but when the market crashed back in 2008 and 9, I had actually started, I didn't have a whole lot of money, but I had started investing in residential and duplexes.
Yeah.
And we were buying them out here as low as $10,000 for, a 2-bedroom house, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
And so, did a lot of that, sold off all those, have since then just been in the, we've built storage facilities, small bay flex, we've done syndications. We're partners in quite a few deals. And so our main forte is just investing in the small bay flex industrial side at this point moving forward.
Yeah.
And
so now that
we've
is
built
kind of like a number of different things. Like I was at an event recently and they talked about storage facilities and they're like, if you want to buy a business, like invest in self-storage, but maybe you can talk about what you feel like is your sweet spot. And out of all those different types of real estate, like, is there anything that you think you like better than one another? Like, or do you just like to have that balance and diversity?
So, the diversity was good at first, but, we're such specialists over here in what we do that, we're really not doing anything on the storage side anymore. We sold all that stuff off. And so we're just on the small bay flex side. I like that side. It's to me, the most stable. We can, push rents. We're very good at, reducing expenses operational wise. We understand the build side of it, the leasing side, the management side. And just because that's really what our main business and focus has been over the past almost 20 years.
Yeah.
We really like to stick into that. We get brought in, we get brought opportunities all the time to join up with other people and, some multifamily and stuff like that. But, it's kind of like Bitcoin and things. If we're not truly understanding the full aspect of it, we're not investing in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really smart. Smart.
That's
Smart
why I never got
advice.
in Bitcoin, because a million people explained it to me, but I still don't understand it.
Yeah. I mean, I do understand it, but I think one thing that I feel like the real estate market's a little crazy right now, but just the volatility, right? Like, I feel like Bitcoin could be like the stock market. Like, one day you have this, the next day you have that, and anything can shift it and you have absolutely no control over it. So I think that's one thing that I would say I prefer about real estate is that there's that tangibility. And even if there is a situation where you have a 2008 or 9, like, of course, it's not going to stay like that forever, where I just feel like in those other platforms, who knows?
Yeah, no,
Um,
I agree.
Now, when it comes to things like challenges and obstacles, what would you say, whether it's your own experience or something that you really see as a common thread through the investors that you work with, like that they tend to find themselves up against and that they find to be pretty challenging?
Really the biggest challenges that we find in our stuff right now is, especially if we're doing new construction, is just finding the land. That's just really it. finding the land at the right price, because, where your interest rates are right now, where your build cost is, all those things are kind of in the same area. It's the land that's your deciding factor in many cases.
Yeah.
And so, we're consistently out sourcing land, trying to do stuff off market, finding some of those guys.
Yeah.
But as far as getting money, or getting investors to invest with us or to buy something with those guys, we have zero issues with that. It's just finding the right deal, which is, what a lot of people have right now too. I know some folks have issues syndicating deals and things of that nature, but there's so many people trying to get into our asset class that part's generally pretty easy.
Yeah, and I think that's really where your career is very complementary, because obviously you're working with a lot of these investors and building those connections. So I guess when you have opportunities, you've got the database and the Rolodex to go along with it. People
Well,
probably
yeah,
watch, you're like,
and
Rolodex.
oh yeah. I used to have one of those actually. But yeah, like I said, as far as our asset class goes, I know there's quite a few others, office, retail, and a lot of these other guys are kind of struggling, but our stuff is just doing so well across the board that there's so many people that want to invest with us. It's just finding the right opportunities to where it makes sense. And if you're going to buy existing, finding that opportunity. And then if you're going to build, it's, a little bit more, there's a lot more intricacies to it, because, you got your build and hold period and things of that nature.
Yeah, understood. Now, when you look at the last couple of decades, what would you say is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned?
I mean, it was probably the last market crash is just stay patient, because when 2008 and 9 hit, I was at a smaller firm, but we had like 20 people there, and really it didn't take that long for it to dwindle down to just me and the owner for a long period of time. And so since I had never experienced a market crash before, I didn't know how long it was going to take. I didn't know if it was just going to be like this forever. And so, just staying patient, understanding, what to do in that time period. We were doing a lot of BOVs for lenders at that time period. That was probably a mistake on our part, because a lot of them actually didn't end up selling, or they would package them up and sell them off to another lender. And, then we're having to create a whole new relationship. And so, understanding where your time is most useful at and how to capitalize on it is key. But, just also being prepared for, when things do come around and get better, and, you never want to quit working. You always want to stay relevant. You want to stay in everybody's face, everybody's ear, so that when those opportunities do come, that you're remembered.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Now, is there anything?
So many people take off. I mean, there's people in our business that, we haven't heard from like a year or so.
Yeah, I think it's something that right now, I don't know what your market's like compared to ours, but in the last 6 to 12 months, there's been a lot of challenges where there's some companies that maybe scaled too quickly. They couldn't accommodate the rising interest rates and stuff like that. And there are a lot of people that are kind of leaving the market, like they're going bankrupt, they're they're trying to come up with all these different ways to save their portfolios and stuff like that. But I think we could never have expected interest rates to climb as quickly as they did necessarily. But then I think, if you were kind of walking that line to begin with, then obviously like you can't support something that's cash flow negative when it comes to like those larger portfolios and stuff like that, right? So it's really showing kind of who set things up properly from the beginning based on who's going to be here next year.
Well, and I mean, there's agents, just like us, that are leaving the business or changing asset classes or just sitting on the sidelines waiting for things to get better. And so you never want to wait for things to get better, in my opinion.
Yeah. And there will always be pros and cons depending on exactly what you're doing, right? But that's where I think having that diversification across your portfolio is really important. Is there anything that you would say you look back on that you're most proud of, or you feel like is your biggest success?
Yeah, when I got started, I was doing a lot of leasing, and I'm glad I took the risk to convert to the investment sales side and the development side. I've done leasing for so long. Anytime you're going to change, it's obviously a little scary, and you're taking a risk, and you lose a lot of business that I built up over that time period. But that ended up being one of the best things for me and the team is converting over to that and becoming the specialist in that arena. And so we worked very hard to achieve that. Very excited to continue to push it. But yeah, I'm very glad that we made that change.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear about that. We're just going to take a really brief break for a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
At ProVenture, we are committed to helping individuals achieve their real estate goals all across the country. Whether you're just starting or looking to expand your investment portfolio, our tried and proven methods are designed to help guide you every step of the way. With our expert support, navigating the complexities of the real estate market becomes an opportunity for growth and success. Let's turn your real estate ambitions into a reality.
I value transparency, integrity, and trust. If you choose to work with me, you can be assured that business will be conducted honestly and openly. Time is of the essence in this industry, so you can expect nothing short of quick, clear communication from me. I'll keep you informed every step of the way so you feel comfortable throughout this entire process. Our homes are where we eat, sleep, relax, and play. My clients' best interests are at the heart of everything I do. And with this said, my service to you doesn't end when the transaction does. As your realtor, I'll not only help you buy and sell your property, I'll also educate and support you along the way. I want to help you fulfill your goal of home ownership and become your trusted real estate resource for life. I can't wait to share my passion for real estate with you. More importantly, to find you the perfect house to turn into your home. Looking to buy, sell, or invest in Durham Region or Toronto? Let's chat. Have you always wanted to invest in real estate to build long-term wealth? Start today with just $10,000. Introducing HoneyTree Real Estate Investment Trust. Welcome to the Temple Building, a mixed-use 0.48-acre site with 25 residential tenants and 5 retail spaces. In the heart of Brantford, Ontario, this property was purchased for $5.8 million and was recently appraised for $6.470 million and an instant investor upside of $670,000. HoneyTree is taking on a light value-add strategy, adding AC, laundry, and Energy Star efficient appliances. Coming soon to HoneyTree Real Estate Investment Trust. For more information, go to honeytreegrow.ca. Inspired to Invest is proud to support the Beyond Success program. In today's complex world, it's absolutely crucial for our youth to learn how to take charge of their financial future. We believe that every young person deserves access to accurate, practical financial information. Designed to bridge the gap, the Beyond Success program leverages a comprehensive educational bootcamp to equip young minds with essential financial literacy skills. At Beyond Success, it's not just about teaching financial literacy, it's also about fostering a foundation for a prosperous and empowered future. Join us. Together we can build a brighter financial future for the next generations. Join us. Together we can build a brighter financial future for the next generations. Welcome back to Inspired to Invest. I have Cody Payne here with me today from Dallas, Texas, and he is the Senior VP at Collier International. And before the break, we were talking about, challenges, lessons, and successes. But one thing I always like to ask the guests that I have on the show is, what's the craziest thing that they've ever experienced as a real estate investor?
The craziest thing? I don't know anything that's been just like, whoa, that's crazy. There's things that have worked out much better than we, ever expected. There's people that we worked with before that we thought were good people to work for, and they actually turned out not being good. And so we've got, plenty of stories on that side. That's a weird one. I'll have to come back to that. I will tell you, there was actually a group that we had tried to penetrate for a long time to work with, and liked them a lot. Finally got in with them, was able to work with them, and turned out they were not the best business people. And so just very shocking to see that you'll see somebody that's that's decent size and has a lot of good stuff, and then obviously come to find out a lot of people knew about it and whatnot, and hey, those guys were a little screwy, and that's why we don't work with them anymore. And so it's just funny that you find out things about people that you have a different perception of.
Yeah, I mean, even right now, like, I've been heavily in the private lending space for the last 5-6 years, and there's some tools and things that I've learned now in the last little while that I'm like, I really wish I had known about some of these sooner, because it would just help to do that kind of due diligence and really get to know what some of those companies and people are all about. Because the reality is when things go wrong, a lot of times people are ashamed and they keep things really close to their chest. And if they kind of talked about it, like you got to be careful, like you can't be slanderous and things like that. But I think if the community was talking more, like maybe they could help other people like dodge bullets and stuff like that, right? So
Yeah, I do have. I do know the thing that's craziest. So I've got a better one. So me and the guys, we actually wrote a book a while back ago about building and investing in the small bay flex industrial side, and we did it to really send out to newer investors that were maybe looking at getting into the space or maybe looking at converting over. And we put it on Amazon and a couple other platforms, and I was shocked. That thing's been selling through the roof, and we've had so many people buy it and have called and said, "Hey, great book, we loved it." And I mean, I'm surprised with our education level that anybody was even able to read it and comprehend it. But no, it was very, very proud of that book, and yeah, it's done a lot better than we thought it would have done.
but I think also if you're providing something that's very niche, like if people were looking into that, and maybe you guys are one of the only ones that have written a book on it, right? I can see how there could be some good debate.
And I think that's why, to be honest with you, I think we're, because if you if you go Google like investing in residential or investing in multifamily, it's just a mile long. Yeah. And so I think because it is a very niche asset, that's probably one of the reasons why. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Now, with all of your experience working with different investors in your career, what would you say is some of the best advice that you've ever received?
Just stay patient, stay loyal. Stick to your code of ethics, and if they don't see value in you, then you shouldn't be working with them.
Yeah, I love that one. And in terms of financial freedom, obviously you've got this diverse portfolio, you've got your career and stuff like that. Do you have a particular financial freedom number that you are reaching towards? And if you're comfortable sharing it, we'd love to hear it.
I always thought I had when I was younger, and then I hit it, and it made me even more hungry and didn't ever want to go backwards, and so it really kept exceeding. So, I mean, I really don't have a number that's in mind. We want to be either owners or part owners, and I think we're looking at like 100 assets across the U.S. That's what our main goal is to get up to.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if the goal then changes at that point once we achieve it. But it's and now that you say that, anytime I look back, because when I first got in business, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to make $100,000, because that was a lot of money in 2005. It's still a lot of money today, but and then you make that, and you're like, well, now I need to do a little better. And so the goalpost always really kind of moved, and it just keeps moving. But I think that's also what keeps me motivated too, is not having that goalpost.
Yeah. No, I love that. Now, in terms of how real estate investing has changed your life, what do you think that looks like in terms of time, opportunity, net worth, like making sure some light?
I think the biggest thing actually is the people that it introduced me to, and have made some really good, like, quality friendships in those as well. Not just business partnerships, but good quality friendships that have introduced me to other people that have great outlooks on life, and very positive and uplifting individuals. And I'd say that's the biggest thing. It's not so much money, but more just personable items that I've seen and come across. And there's a lot of guys, as I'm thinking about it, that we do business with and we do partnerships with, and we love hanging. We hang out all the time now, and so I think it's probably the relationships that were made.
Yeah, and I can see that, because I think that when you are doing something that's different, like I don't know about the rest of your friends and family kind of before that, but obviously what you're doing may not relate to or resonate with them. So I think that when you are starting to do these higher level things, obviously it makes sense to start connecting with people that are on the same page as you, or on at least the same trajectory as you. So I think surrounding yourself in the communities, makes sense that you develop those friendships along the way.
And surrounding yourself with people that will help push you too, and that are maybe more successful than you on the business side or whatnot. I mean, anytime you surround yourself with people that I don't want to say are better than you, but are bring good value to the table, is always a good thing. And so you want to make sure that you're bringing good value as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now, obviously, the name of this podcast is Inspired to Invest. So I like to ask a quote that motivates or inspires you.
So we have a quote that's actually written down out here. I don't really know if it inspires us or not, but it says, if you don't have all the power, you have no power. And so, and that's really just a mindset tool. Anytime you're dealing with something or you're dealing with somebody on something, that if you don't have all the power, if they don't have all the power, then you know. And so we consistently say that all the time. So maybe not the best, most inspiring, uplifting quote, but just something that we like and live by.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. Now, for anyone that wants to learn a little bit more about your investment opportunities, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Easy. flexbusinessparks.com.
Awesome. So we'll include that in the show
all
notes
the guys
below.
are there. Yeah.
We'll keep it nice and simple. Obviously, thank you for your time, for being here today. And for anyone that has watched, thank you for your time. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. You can also follow along on social at Inspired to Invest Podcast. And remember, when you invest in yourself, the sky's the limit. Thanks again. Thank you to ProVenture Real Estate Corp for bringing you this episode of Inspired to Invest. The views represented on this podcast are for general information only and does not constitute investment or other professional advice or an offering of securities. The host and guests featured on Inspired to Invest make no representations as to the performance of any particular investment. Should you decide to make an investment, you are responsible for conducting your own review and analysis. It is recommended that you obtain independent legal, accounting, and tax advice from licensed professionals.